Tbull here. Today I'll give you a rundown of the Black Friday ships. They're coming back. I believe they're coming back today, but soon, if not today. So I'll kind of give you a rundown of my thoughts on them. Maybe start with the ones on the less favorite end of the spectrum. Make my way up to some of my more favorite ships at the end of the video. But all these ships are good. They're all pretty fun. So you can't really go wrong. I don't know how they're going to be selling them either individually or just through crates. Either way, if you want to try your hand and get some of these, usually people get these ships and enjoy them. So I'm going to start off with Mutsu B. Mutsu, heavy hitting guns. It's basically got Nagato guns at tier 5. Wonky in terms of the aim. You don't always know what you're going to get out of these things, but when they hit, they can hit really hard. So you can get some nice whacks with the Mutsu. But the accuracy, like I mentioned, a little bit strange. Torpedoes, you might be looking at this thinking, wow, it's kind of like Gneisenau, Sharnhorst, something like that. Not really. The torpedoes, you got to launch them basically off the side of the ship. Can't really get great angles on them. They're quick reloading. They only launch one tor per pull of the trigger, but you get two every, 30 seconds or whatever it is. So you can catch people off guard with these things, but you're not trying to put yourself in the position to use these torpedoes. They're more defensive in nature. You can use them if people are rushing you or if they're trying to come around an island or something and ambush you. Sometimes you can get some profitable plays with that. But usually the Mutsu, you're going to want to be playing at mid to long range for the most part until opportunities arise later on in the game. Durability, I don't know. It's been a while since I've looked at the armor view, but I believe the deck in the superstructure armor is susceptible to a lot of HE penetration from the ships that you're going to be seeing. So this is one of those ships, if I'm playing a good HE type cruiser, I'm usually going to try and target it. You can get a lot of damage on it, usually take it down quite a bit, or quite quickly. The problem is if you leave it alone and it starts connecting with a shot here or there, all of a sudden it's going to start piling up some damage. So it can be dangerous, can be fun to play, no doubt, but reliability, not at the top of my list. Moving on, I'd probably put Indianapolis next. Now, Indianapolis, I'll give you the stirrings. Good, accurate guns, hard hitting. You can pick some citadels with this thing. So the guns, they're not quite as good as Baltimore, for instance, or maybe Wichita, but they're quite solid guns for a tier 6 cruiser. And the radar. Okay, it's not quite as long of a range in terms, if you compare it to like a Chapayev or Ochakov, but the duration's longer. So I think if you factor in the duration and the distance coverage-wise, you could make a case it's the best radar in the game. So those two things quite strong. All right. The problem with it is difficulty. It's not an easy cruiser to play. If you get shot, you're liable to die. All right. This is one of the fun ships at the higher tiers to shoot at. Battleships love shooting this thing. You can citadel it from any direction. Very hard to protect yourself. So you got to be very good at utilizing island cover, You can't really open water in it very well. You can try. Maybe some people get away with it, but in general, you don't want to put a lot of eggs in that basket. So kind of more difficult of a cruiser. Now that said, if you consider yourself a good cruiser player or you're good at the American heavy cruisers, the radar cruisers in particular, and you understand that type of play style, then you can actually have quite a bit of fun with the Indianapolis. So I know a few good players, top tier players that actually like this ship quite a bit. Myself, it's just having all the ships that I got access to, it's just not usually on the tip of my tongue in terms of what ships I'm looking to play at any given moment. But not the worst cruiser known to man. Moving on here, maybe next we put Atago B. Now, those of you that watch my channel a lot know I really like the Megami. That's one of my favorite cruisers. Atago B, kind of the same thing. A little bit different turret layout. I think this one has 3 in the front, and I believe the Megami has 3 in the back. So it's more set up for kiting. This one, it's kind of set up with the option of attacking while pushing. You got different launch angles on the torps, all right? As opposed to the Megami, which has 2 per side, both of them facing rearward off the back of the ship. This has 2 per side, 1 facing forward, 1 facing rearward. But you can't really stack those torps without giving basically full broadside on any given side. So usually you're going to have half the torpedo output on your target, okay? Unless you're not being spotted currently and you can kind of safely flash the sides of your ships to get the full launch off. But dangerous proposition, not capable of doing that in all cases. So Some people probably prefer Atago over Megami. Some people vice versa. I would put myself in that camp, but they're both good quality tier 7 Japanese cruisers, no doubt. Good strong ship. Atago, you got options. You can set up for mobility, try and play a run and gun style. You can set it up more for offense. It gives you a good amount of options when it comes to the Japanese cruiser line. So Atago, I definitely like the ship. I enjoy playing it quite a bit, but coming up against the ships that's coming up against here, I'd put it kind of in the middle of the list in terms of my personal preference. Let's see. Next, we could probably put let's go with the Biscuit. Okay, now the Biscuit's going to have extra draw for you guys in terms of the commander. Okay, we get Swirsky with the Biscuit, the Boyskavitska, as some of you might think it's called, and also the Orkan is the other pan-European destroyer. So if you want Swirsky, you kind of have to get either or. Now, what does Swirsky do? He provides, his inspiration increases your ship's concealment. So if you want double concealment build, you need Swirsky, because you got Makawa does cruiser concealment, Bay does destroyer concealment, and Kondo does battleship concealment. But Swirsky does your ship. So you can stack his trait with either of those three guys, and that's how you get a double concealment build. Not a build a lot of people are going to use in a lot of situations. Usually you'd see it more on the destroyer end of things. I've used it on cruisers. I've used it on some destroyers. I very rarely use it. I think I got it on the Germans and the Europeans right now, just because you get an extra inspiration by having that built in as the base trait for those commanders, Bay or Swirsky. So other than that, I don't usually. There's so many other options that I think are just a little bit better at this point in time. But those of you that want to focus on the concealment aspect of the game, Swirsky is kind of necessary for it. I think he'll be available. I think they're going to launch a European destroyer line at some point in time. When that would happen, who knows? That could be a while, or it could be the next line. We have no idea knowing. But if you need them now, this is a good way to get them. Biscuit itself, good ship. All right, now you got 6 torps per launch, but the reload is about a minute. Good concealment. You can outspot most things, especially if you're doing Bay Swirsky and you get them up to high levels. Very good concealment, quick reloading torps. The guns, nice flat firing arcs, so pretty accurate guns. Most destroyers, you're kind of a big threat to. Now, if you don't want to necessarily go toe-to-toe with all of them, but you can take a couple shots, disengage with your smoke, let the situation reset, and then going in with your health advantage, you can usually take them down at that point in time. So, played well. Biscuit is good. It used back in the day when only certain builds had twist and track. Of course, you could have twist and track on that as well. All the destroyers should have that now. But it's been good for me as kind of a counter destroyer, cap controller. You just got to play it a little bit more conservatively than some of the top dogs, like the Americans might be fitting for that role. But good ship overall. In fact, for quite a while, it was my top ship played in the game. The original Biscuit version, anyways. Moving on here, what would we go with next? Let's check the forecast. Golden Showers, Atlanta B. Great ship here. This game that we got clipped, I'm actually probably going to cover the game in full because it ended up being a pretty good game. But Atlanta, solid ship, American light cruiser. But if you're looking at the footage in the background, I turned off EOP for this. So we're not getting a lot of raw damage. And this is a ship that you definitely want EOP on normally. I just forgot I didn't have it on the build. But you can get a lot of fire damage if you're not going to be doing the EOP setup. But either way, kind of a nice specialist. My philosophy with the American light cruisers, get them as close, as far forward as you can, and then hold the enemy back. You got the radar on here. Shorter distance coverage-wise when it comes to the radar. I think it's 8-9. So you got to keep that in mind. It's not quite of a long-range radar as some of them, but overall, you can definitely use it to counter some destroyers or use it in other oddball situations where you got to spot ships on the other side of an island or something. So Atlanta, great ship. A lot of people love it. It was, I think, the first campaign ship ever. First or second for sure, but I think it was the first. You get the AP going on these broadside battleships. You can get some withering damage there, 5, 6, 7,000 type salvos. You get the HE going, the golden showers, splashing them in the eyes, getting them all sticky and burning them to death. Not a pleasant way to go out by any means. And, the annoyance factor is definitely there to play against. Back when this was the campaign ship, you'd see like 3 or 4 per side, and you'd have to kill them right away or you'd just get covered in golden showers the entire time. So it was really sticky to play against these things early on, but you don't see them as much anymore. Doesn't mean it's not as effective. It's still a great ship. You can make a case for a lot of the different American light cruisers, which one you like, but a lot of people would put the Atlanta at the top of their list. So I like that ship quite a bit. I think you're going to like that one too. Moving on here, we got a couple left. Sharnhorst, classic German battleship. Torpedo, decent secondaries. I think when it first came out, people were really hyped about the secondaries. I don't really focus on them too much, but when you're getting close in with these brawls, and you're going to be wanting to do that against these other battleships, the secondaries will come in, start a few fires, maybe turn the tide that way. But torpedoes, basically, you want to play this like a Gneisenau, Odin, Tirpitz. Try and get in there as quick as you can. Don't be too overzealous. You got to kind of pace yourself or you're going to get withered. If your team's on the moon, you're moving forward. You can't do that. But as the game progresses or as you see the deployments go around, look for those opportunities to get in tight. And if you don't have any destroyer threats or anything like that, you can close in on the enemy, whack them with the guns. You got lower caliber guns, quick reloading. I got that accentuated with my build. I focus on the speed and the reload on my build, and then the torp performance. So you can have a lot of fun with the ship. Probably a lot of people's favorite ship in the game. Maybe it's been power grepped a little bit over the years. It was one of the first premiums that came out, but I still think it's an effective ship, and I still think it's quite a bit of fun to play. So anyone who digs the German battleships at all, you're definitely going to like the Sharnhorst, and it's definitely been a fan favorite since it came out. Last but not least, you guessed it, Warspite B. Favorite battleship in the game, I believe, would be the Warspite for me. Tier 5, Terror. Probably the most accurate battleship, certainly at Tier 5. You know, me and Chili teamed up and blanked a rank season when I was in the Warspite. He was in the Gatey. So the performance is there, reliability there. The only real downside is some of the guns that you're going to see, they can start to whack you around a little bit. You can have some trouble angling. Sometimes you're going to have to be baiting shots into the side as opposed to tanking them with the nose. That aside, though, the gun's outstanding, hard-hitting, accurate, very, very dangerous ship. Probably had more Hegon Dev Strikes on this thing than any other ship. If not the most, then it's definitely up there for me. So Warspite, great ship, slow. It's kind of like the Americans where you got to be thinking 2 steps ahead of yourself. If you're not paying attention, not focusing on where you're going or what you're doing, well, then you can get yourself in trouble. But if you like playing battleships and you want to find one that has a laser accuracy, this is it. Okay, and then there's not much negative to say about it. Great ship overall, and I think anyone who picks it up usually ends up liking it. So that's the breakdown on the black ships or the Black Friday ships. We'll probably get 3 new ones. We've had 3 per year, I believe. So probably over the Thanksgiving time period, we'd probably see another package, and maybe these will be available then as well. But currently, they're available, or they will be very shortly, for the 2-year anniversary. And if you're interested in picking them up, I think head to toe, they're all great ships, a lot of fun. Can't really go wrong with any of them. So that's going to do it for this one, guys. Hopefully you did enjoy it. If you did, please hit the thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. We got lots of World of Warships coming all the time. Questions, comments, leave them below. I'd love to hear from you guys, and we'll see y'all later. Peace.